Auburn-Lewiston Rotary Club today. Today I'm reading a book called A Chair for My Mother. The author is Vera B. Williams. So before I start reading, what I usually do is I will read text and then I will show you the pictures. So don't get upset if as I'm reading you can't see, because I'll make sure everybody can see. All right, A Chair for My Mother. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school, sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job to do. I wash the salt and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time, I peeled all the onions for onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mother empties all of her change from tips out of her purse for me to count, and we push all the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles. Some days she has lots of tips, and other days she only has a little. Then she looks worried, but each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. And as you can see, I have an assistant right here. This is Colton. He's our pup. He's sitting on the couch because he's a little wacky. And so he'll probably be joining me today. So here's the jar. Not sure if I showed you this picture or not. There you go. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into the jar. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we're going to take all the money and go buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chair burned up. There was a big fire in our other house, and all the chairs burned. So did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. So can you imagine? These poor people lost everything they have, and they're saving all their coins so they can buy a chair. While my mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes, I had new sandals, and she had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked the red tulips, and I was saying I liked the yellow ones. Then we came to our block. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here, she's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while for us to find her. But everything else in our whole house was spoiled. really scary. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. When we were able to move into the apartment downstairs, we painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream, and they brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us a beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans, silverware and dishes. My cousin brought me her old stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. You are all the kindest people, she said, and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and we can start over. So even though they just had their house destroyed and all their things taken away from them, they still feel gratitude because they moved into this neighborhood where people are just giving them things for them to start their lives over. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet, she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on hard kitchen chairs. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all coins started to go into that jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift. Uncle Sandy gives me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. Whoa, look at that jar full of money. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full, Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and dimes and quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. On my Mother's Day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. We shopped through our furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and small ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and hard chairs. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 Bears, trying out all those chairs. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. So look at all those chairs. I tried out our new chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit while we were driving, but they did let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on the TV when she comes home from her job. And after supper, I sit with her and she can reach up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. The end. There's a picture of Grandma and Mom and the little girl all sitting in the chair. So that's a great book, and I think that's a really good book about gratitude, about kind of looking at your life and being grateful for everything you have, even if it's a jar, and that you put all your money in it and you can save for something really special. So thanks for being a good audience, and have a good day.